All right, quick update video here. I just could not get a pair of EQ to kind of work with this setup. I actually prefer it to the Equinox, but with this little setup here, maybe it's because I'm going a little more vintagey. I don't know, I just can't get it to work. You can even do kind of Pultec tricks on this thing. I mean, you've got 5K. 5K is what I like to mess around with guitar. I can cross those over between the mids and the highs and boost and cut them at the same time, which is kind of the Pultec trick, but I don't know why. This one just works better. So pulled the pair of EQ Deluxe out, put the Equinox back in. Excuse me. A little more intuitive of an EQ to mess with. I think the way this setup is, because it's that thick, warm sound, I guess, I'm gonna have to just mess with the dials on my guitar. So here I just rolled off a little bit of the neck pickup because I've got both pickups on. Just roll off that neck pickup and I can thin it out. That thick analog sound without being analog, there you go. Although I guess I'm going through a lot of analog stuff here. Is there anything digital on right now, actually? Yeah, there is. So the Pompeii is on. So the video I made yesterday, I actually forgot to turn on this thing for the whole damn video. Let's turn off my other delays here. That's all I'm using the Pompeii for right now. And you're also hearing the studio reverb on the IR200. So before I do a quick run through in the jam here, I have an announcement to make. Let me see what the hell this viewer's name was. I've been eyeballing these things for a long time. But in all honesty, most of these profilers, in my mind, were convenient for really live applications. And the main word there is convenience. Good enough sounding in a studio environment, in my mind, in my experience, which, by the way, with profilers, I have none. But I've been using, I consider myself an early adopter to digital, as I bought a Gallien-Kruger 2100 SEL in like 1987 or 88, which was a digital stereo guitar amplifier. I'm not opposed to digital, but I've used it back to the early days, and I'd rather use digital for its sound rather than use digital to try and recreate an analog sound. However, in this case, I think the and so the profiler I ordered is the Nano Cortex. So I'm excited to get it because I'm gonna hire somebody to help me get my JC120 out of storage, and I'm going to profile that thing, and I'll tell you straightforward whether it sounds close or not, because I've recorded that thing personally, semi-professionally, and professionally since the 80s. So I know exactly what a JC120 needs to sound like. I probably recorded that amp more than any other amp, because you get very consistent results with those things. Tube amps, you do not get consistent results. So you end up using something like a jazz chorus quite often. And that's, again, what I was going for with this IR200, which, to be honest, does not sound like a JC120 at all. I mean, not even close. Although most modelers, and I've mentioned this a few times in my videos, most modelers, I don't know why they think it sounds like the original amp. For people that have never used those amps, they might believe that's what those amps sound like, but I don't think any modeling sounds. The only one that I thought sounded kind of close was the Woodrow from Universal Audio. I think that did kind of sound like a Fender Tweed when you crank it, which is surprising to me because that's usually where digital falls off for me, is when you start overdriving it. But I'm sorry, I haven't had a modeler yet, and I've had a few. The thing I really like about the Iridium is the The room ambience, I don't want to call it a reverb. It's not really a room reverb, but that sounds really natural. Those are the only 2 points of all the modelers I've used that really made me think, yeah, that sounds like the amp. So I'm really curious on these profilers, because profilers, and again, I had to do a little reading myself to make sure I had my head straight on it. So modeling recreates the circuitry, which is processor intensive, ultimately recreates the sound. Profiles work off of a recorded sound. So if that recording is accurate, theoretically, the profiled sound should be accurate. So again, we're going to find out, because again, I not only have a jazz chorus, and again, I'm pretty sure it's from 1985. I not only have the jazz chorus, I have the 412 cabinet that connects to it, so I can even profile. Well, I don't know how profiling works. I think it just profiles the amp; it doesn't profile the cabinet. So I'm going to have to. That's going to be another part of the process for me, is figuring out how to match up a cabinet, because the jazz chorus really can be very, very two-dimensional and neutral without that chorus in there. So I'm real curious. That's going to be yet another new experience for me. So, and thank you to, who is this guy? I believe it's Rich Heron. So there you go, Rich Heron. You pushed me over the edge. I've been thinking about it for a long time. And that Nano Cortex, I think, is, for my application, is about as far as I want to go with a profile right now, only because I'm just goofing around at home. This is so ridiculous, man. Look at what the hell I got sitting here, just for my basic goofing around enjoyment, most of the time in the mornings before I get ready for work. So I still love it, though. I still have fun with it. So in any case, let's go through my signal chain real quick here. Okay, so we're starting off with the NKT red dot low gain on the sun face. Let's turn everything off and layer it in as we go. Why not? Let's do a good old from scratch. So that's just my straight tone. The only thing you're hearing here, in fact, let's even turn off the studio reverb. There we go. Ooh, let's turn off the Pompeii as well. So all you're really hearing is, the compression isn't even picking anything up right now on the console. And then my post-processing, which has a small room reverb on it, from the Valhalla Supermassive, but it's just a basic room reverb. I've got some phase correction going on there. I've got some finalization. And then at the very end, I have some limiting going on. And that's only to make it digestible in a general way. So if that confuses your ears, my apologies, but that's the way it is. Okay, so I don't use a lot of gain staging anymore. I use compression staging. Tone comes from EQ and compression. It does not really come from overdrive. Boosting can change the gain structure of what you're hitting it, but I don't need to do that because I can also boost with compression and EQ. So all I need is a good fuzz. And this is a very good fuzz. Let's put on the neck pickup so I can roll it off. Now again, I don't have any other effects on, but as you can see, it cleans up pretty nice. Now what I like to do is mess with both pickups. Now I have both pickups on at the same time. I can really thin it out. And then I can also roll off the neck, or excuse me, the bridge. Just get that low dirt. So for what I'm doing, that's about as good as it gets. I can also, if I'm on full volume, bridge, volume roll, or excuse me, tone rolled off. Not a crazy fuzz, just enough to give me some hair to play with. All right. So nice fuzz. I got very fortunate with that. Just one random day, I was just reading on Analog Man's website, and I saw in the drop-down, is that NKT red dots available? I'll be damned it is. So I was actually able to order one. I think I got this last year. No King of Tone years of waiting or anything. I just happened to be there a day. They made a few available. Okay, 1176, or pedal 76 from Warm Audio. So only comment I have on this at this point is, yeah, it does what 1176 does, which isn't necessarily what I would consider a guitar thing, but this one is transformer matched. And if you use, there's a little lever on the back that gives it high gain. I believe it adds in the transformers, and that's what I'm interested in. So I'm doing about a 12-to-1, just some peak compression, just to give the signal for the next compressor a little easier job to do. I like, doing a couple levels of light compression. As you can see, at least I think you can see, for most playing, it's going 1 to 3 decibels of reduction. Can you see that? I don't know if you can see it. You might have to zoom in your screen. But as you can see, it's doing its thing a little bit. All right, so LA2A, or excuse me, the PC2A from Effect Road. Now the PC2A is another one that's real interesting. As you can hear, I don't have much reduction going on yet. But between the two, it really warms it up. No pumping and breathing, none of that weird stuff that compressors tend to do when you're stacking them. Excellent little 1-2 punch there, 1176 into an LA2A. Okay, and then we're going to add the Analog Man compressor. A blend control, so as you can see, let me think about this. The more you turn it up, the less clean signal is blended in. So as you turn it down, yeah, I believe that's how it works. So I've got a little bit of the tone from here blended in addition to the compression it's doing. But as you can see, it just grabs it and holds on to it. Very natural sounding. This is all going to get blown up as soon as I get that nano cortex, but this is as far as I've gotten with this setup. These all work together pretty good. Then we're going to add in the Pultec style EQ. And again, the idea with the Pultec is you can create really interesting EQ curves because you can boost and cut the same frequencies, or in this case, similar frequencies. So let me think here. I am cutting 5K and I'm boosting 4K. So, and then the way you change the bandwidth changes the curve. So it's semi-parametric. I don't know if I call it parametric. And then if you look on the last little area here on it, these three at 30K, I'm cutting it a little more than I'm boosting it. But again, that kind of shapes the tone and kind of rounds it out or smooths it out. That's why I got kind of infatuated with the Pultec technique or the Pultec style EQs. I'm still on both pickups on my 335 here, by the way. The nice big round sound. Okay, and then I'm going into the Pompeii T1. Side note, this has to run at 12 volts. This has to run at 18 volts. And then now that we're at the Pompeii T1 by Sico Gnani, I don't know how to pronounce it, but this also runs at 12 volts. That's all I'm doing with it. That's kind of a, something I picked up from One of these days, I'll prepare myself before I make one of these videos. Reddi-rich. So Reddi-rich uses just a little slap there in the beginning, real light, just to give it a little depth. So I've tried to do that here and there as I'm building some of these sounds up. Okay, and then I'm going out of the T1 into my looper, which, just do something quick here, hopefully nothing's in there. So the reason I like this one, this particular looper, the MXR clone looper, is you can immediately cut it in half, create yourself a little bass line, or you could double it up, so I could come up here, play something on top of it. And then drop it back down. You can hold this down and reverse it. You know, you can really just play with the sound really easily. It's so simple, so straightforward. If I want to delete that last thing I did, I just hold the play down, hold it down to bring it forward again, just one click to bring it back to normal speed. It's just a super simple, easy looper. It's got great sound quality. And then if I don't want anything I got in there, I just hold down the record side and I'm back to zero. So super easy to use. And for my spacey stuff I like to do, I can just instantly get where I want to be and then move on. So I really love this looper. This knob over a couple years gets finicky because it's a push knob. Sometimes I won't get anything. I got to fiddle with it, which is why it disappears off my board. It's not so much I like stuff on my board that sounds the best. Sometimes I take stuff off the board because there's something that annoys me about it. Same thing with guitars. Some of my guitars I really like a lot, but if there's one little thing that annoys me, like a scratchy pot or a bad taper, I'm just not interested. So then count to 5. Oh, I should take that back. So I'm going out of that into the IR200. A JC120 model, which is about to change because I got that Nano Cortex coming. I'm gonna have to figure all this out again, but today this is what I got. And then into the count to 5, which I might end up putting before, only because I want to hear it through everything. And again, I use it on mode 3, quantized to octaves and fifths. Hold this down to record. I think it records 8 seconds. This turns 1, 2, or 3, so I've got 3 record heads here. And I can go, what is that, 2 octaves? And again, I can quantize it to a bunch of different things, but I usually just quantize it to octaves and fifths. I turn the second record head on. So now I've got a low octave, a forward or backwards. So I've got a forward and then turn on that third head. Very easy to make little pads. And then to, delete it, just a quick click and then you're back. So one of the most underrated pedals in the entire pedal sphere. Super easy, and there's a lot of other stuff it does, but that's what I use it for. Okay, then we're going out of that into the Cosmos, which at first I didn't like this at all, but I'm finding that I really like it now. There's a little bit of a learning curve with this thing. This is the ultimate Geigo device. I mean, you put some garbage into it, it will spit garbage back out at you. But once you figure out how to use it, it's actually an incredibly useful and musical tool. This one's probably second on the all-time Geigo list. Garbage in, garbage out. You put garbage in this thing and you're just going to end up with a crazy cacophony of ridiculousness. But in a general way, mix, feedback, I don't suppress or compress stuff too much, just a tiny bit of drive. I like drift there. Blur tends to annoy me sometimes, so I keep that low. I like, for regular stuff, I like the longest granular delay. Personally, I'm kind of partial to granular delays. It can be a little finicky with inputs and outputs, but to get it dialed in, once it starts hitting other delays and processing, it does a really nice job of doing maybe an expanded version of what I use the count to 5 for. Really easy to filter, really easy to manipulate. If I put it to here, it will not fade out. It will not go into self-oscillation. So all of a sudden I've got this kind of drifting pad going on in the background. Really great. A couple of things that are just unbelievably annoying about this though. First off, they give you a straight jack on the back instead of a right angle. That is very annoying. And the inputs are on the left side on it. The outputs are on the right, which in a compact area like this, you know, it's another one of those ones where, thank goodness I had a couple chords that kind of work for it. But because of the way the routing is, it's a consideration if you're trying to fit it into a pedal board. Extremely annoying. Have no idea why they would put it on the left, not the right, when every other pedal in the world is not set up that way. I don't think they were thinking of it in context. I think they were thinking of this thing on an island when they made it, and fair enough. Or maybe there's something with the modular guys or the synth guys that they prefer the inputs on the left. I don't know. But in this context, it's really annoying. But as I learn how to use it, I'm finding that I can overcome that annoyingness. So moving on. Okay. Microcosm. This is one of those ones where, yeah, all the sounds are great. There's a lot of potential applications for it, a lot of exploration you can do. But for what I do, Mosaic's perfect. I really wish Hologram would make just a Mosaic pedal or expand on that Mosaic idea. I spent a lot of time on the Zoya trying to kind of replicate Mosaic type effects. But really, Hologram, you own it. Nobody does this. Nobody does even close to what you do. And it's for, again, the spacey people, the ambient people, whatever the hell you want to say. It's the best. Period. And I wouldn't mind a smaller footprint. I do like the looper on here, by the way. I used the looper quite a bit. There's a couple other effects I like quite a bit too, but really, it's about the Mosaic effect. Who cares if it's become a mundane effect for people that play stuff like mine, like this? Because it's perfect. Yeah, Hologram, great job. One of these days I'll try the Chroma console, see if you put that same notion into the Chroma console. But that has not gotten to the top of my list. Probably won't. Especially since I'm about to dip my feet into tell how much I know about it. I don't even know what the hell it's called. Dip my feet into the whole nano cortex stuff. Right? Did I say that right? I don't even know what the hell I'm saying. Yeah, the nano cortex. So it's probably going to slim down this board a little bit. So anyways, what else can you say about the Mosaic? It's 110% worth it, even if you're just getting it for the Mosaic effect. Okay, so out of the Microcosm into the Joshua. So you've also got pitch shifting, you've also got a little compression, you've also got a little tad bit of reverb and obviously modulation. Yeah, it sounds like the Edge. Yeah, I could mute it with a pick and whatever, but you know what I'm doing. Right now I'm using this mainly for the little bit of pitch shifting. It kind of gives it a sparkle. Makes you want to play in D major. This is kind of a wild card for me. It really is the best sounding, but we'll see. Ideally I just need one delay, which brings me over to the Starlight. The Starlight I'm using on the EP3. This also has an amazing Deluxe Memory Man sound. It sounds better than my actual Analog Man modded Deluxe Memory Man, if you ask me. I don't have a sound dialed in for it, but that's only my opinion anyway. And then these two together kind of brings it all to life. All right, and then finally, again, this is the third reason I wanted to put this thing back on the board. JC120, effects loop, and then the studio reverb. Let's turn these delays off. I don't know if it translates to the recording, but we'll find out after this, because again, this for me, aside from walking through things in a little more detail, this is really a test recording for me. All right, so let me shut up now and do a quick jam. I won't try not to go too long here, but so I'm looking forward to trying a new technology that hopefully empowers me to get some of the sounds I want. Because I got a Morgan behind me here, a Morgan PR5, which I really like. I've got an AC amp that I really like. I've got a GTM style amp or a blues or Bassman style amp I'd like to try modeling. There's a lot of things that kind of opens the door on. I wish I had some of the amps that I used to have when I had my home studio. But more than anything, that jazz chorus I want to do. In fact, I'll do a whole video when I do it, and we'll see what kind of results we get. And you're going to laugh because the input jacks are hanging out of the thing. The thing's got some miles on it, but it still has the magic. So if I can model that thing with and without the chorus on it, I'm curious as to whether I can model it with the chorus. We'll see. I don't think so. I don't know how that works, though, because I don't have any of my microphones I used to have. I used to like AKG 451s. I had C451 EBs that I used to like to use. I had a stereo pair. I used to like using them on drums as overheads, as well as on my favorite 212 cabinet with JBL E120s in it. I obviously don't have that anymore. Actually, I can get a hold of that JBL cabinet if I want. A friend of mine has it, but it's in Wisconsin and I'm in North Carolina, so that ain't happening. If anybody's ever lifted up a 212 with JBL E120s in it, it's a backbreaker. It's heavier than most 412s. But I have a super cardioid mic here, a dynamic mic. If I can't get a good capture out of that, there's something wrong with me as an engineer. And if I have to get an SM57, whatever, it's not that expensive. So, again, this is one of those things where I'm slowly opening this ridiculous can of worms in chase of getting a certain sound. But, instead of having loud amps, I'm trying to figure out how to do this with my monitors and my headphones here. So I'll have a little fun in the process. But in any case, all right, let's see what we can do here. Let's go with good old E minor. All right, almost 40 minutes. I applaud anybody who sat through this long. I don't even jam this long typically, but first off, I love this setup. Not sure if I've got it EQ'd the way I want. It's a little dark for me, a little muffled sounding. I like more of an open sound, but I'm really excited about getting into this, leaving the modeling world, which never satisfied me, and get into this, this neural imaging type world. So in any case, look, if you're interested at all, I'll be unequivocally at least delving into the JC120. My other amps are maybe something that I just like, but for those of you that want an all-time classic amp, I got the vintage one, and it's a good sounding one. The spring reverb and the thing's still just amazing sounding. And of course, it's got the chorus and whatnot, so at the very least, that'll be a fun video to make. So in any case, have a good one until next time.